Hi, y'all. It's Thanasi, your Caliper King. And I just wanted to start it off saying that calipers are getting a bad reputation. But I'll be the first to tell you that sometimes it is deserved. But most of the time, it's other underlying issues within the brake system. There are three real reasons why caliper rebuilders are getting a bad reputation. Now, let's go over that. Uh, Reason number one is that there are corner cutting rebuilders out there. So sometimes when they are rebuilding calipers and mass producing them, what they are doing is flipping the caliper seal, a, a 4 or 5 cent part. And sometimes caliper pistons in mass production are driven in with arbor presses. Now, we don't use arbor presses here. We are using our hands so we have a better feel for the seal. And when you're using arbor presses, it could pass the pressure test, but it won't last past 1 to 2 months. Now, this particular seal here, you could see, has been cut, was driving the pistons in. This seal wasn't straight and flat like this. There was a little kink in it. So when they use an arbor press to put it in, it cuts the seal. And then within sometimes even a week, it'll leak. Also, caliper rebuilders will put in pistons that are actually pitted. Pitted means holes in the piston from the rust that was mended to it. So the only way that you could see the pitted piston is if you wire brush it and then you saw little divots inside the piston. Now, one unit out of the 50 that these larger companies are making, it's not a big deal for them. As long as it's in the box, they put it on a pallet, they ship it to their distribution center, and so on. Reason number two would be these castings, such as the aluminum ones that are on your typical Mercedes in the front. Sometimes they are sandblasted so much that it's actually taking away from the metal. So now you actually don't have the piece that was manufactured. You have less of a piece. Reason number three is that this defective caliper, quote unquote, got blamed for hoses. The bleeding procedure was done wrong. And sometimes they make the install incorrectly. The first thing I'll ask is, are the bleeders in the up position? Because the only way that you can purge air out of an hydraulic system is by having the bleeder nipple, this right here, up. If it's down, you can still install this caliper, but there's a pocket of air right in here. And you'll never be able to get it out because the fluid goes from here and you bleed from down here. That is one of the main causes for the spongy pedal. Or you have old brake fluid that has too much oxidation in it. And water, if you understand, compresses. Brake fluid absorbs water, and over time it can be compressed. As for freshly put in brake fluid, there is no compression. It's just a straight shot. Also, the brake hose is a big determining factor whether the caliper is really stuck. And what people don't understand is that a brake hose, the life of it is about 4 to 8 years maximum. The inside here, this is a cut brake hose, so this hose will go to the caliper. what's happening with these rubber flex hoses is the orifice here is less than 2 millimeters in diameter. And then you got a bunch of rubber over it, like a coating. Well, mechanics will sometimes use the vice grip on here to prevent fluid from coming out so they don't have to add more brake fluid, which costs money. Also, when they do use a vice grip on here, it can collapse without the vice grip and or just being old. So this hard plastic in here that's about 1 to 2 millimeters in diameter collapses. You can push your brake pedal down, which distributes the 500 pounds of pressure to all the calipers. But what's happening is it pushes, but it's now the brake line over here has a kink inside of it and won't allow the fluid to rush back. That's going to cause a stuck caliper. Now here is when rebuilt calipers deserve all the criticism that they get. As you can see here, this caliper looked like a brand new casting, but they didn't get enough of the oxidation off. And also inside this bore here, you could see there are nick marks in here. And that's what will cause the stuck piston. Or also, as you can see here, they rebuilt a caliper that had hit the rotor already. Now, the pad cannot sit flat here. Also, on the same particular caliper, inside there's still the steel shot that comes from the sandblasters, which ultimately means when they took the calipers out of the tumble blast machine or however they prepped it, they didn't get all the sand out with air. But the inside chamber of a caliper has to be perfectly clean. No debris, nothing. If there's debris in there, sand, steel shot, it'll cut the seal on the road. And then all of a sudden now your caliper's leaking fluid all over the place and you're losing that brake pedal. Now here is a perfectly ready body to be assembled. We got a clean bore. You're able to put the butterfly clip in. The holes are open here. The threads look perfect. One other thing that we do here is we actually put the piston in to make sure it's going in and out smoothly. Because if that's not done and there's a nick in there, the piston will seize on the nick. And then it'll create a bunch of heat. Then there you are again, back at the parts store, buying your rotor, buying your pad, paying the mechanic 2 times. So this is a perfectly prepared casting. A properly rebuilt caliper isn't a shortcut. It's a professional repair, which we take very seriously. That's something my father was doing from the 80s. And that's why we haven't had close to as many defects as the larger companies. The same process we use today is literally coming back from when my dad first started calipers, which is kind of cool. If you don't understand why rebuilt calipers fail, you'll never understand why a good one lasts. Also, have you ever had a problem with a rebuilt brake caliper? Let us know those issues that you had. Hopefully we tackled everything on the surface of an improperly rebuilt caliper compared to a properly rebuilt caliper. Now, thanks for watching. I'm Thanasi, the Caliper King. We'll see you on the next episode.